Hi. It's been a minute since I've talked to the camera, let alone you guys. If you're new, hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Janera, but you can call me Nera for short. And this is my first booktube video. It's a little different for me. I usually make vlog content, fitness content, and sit down makeup content, but not that good of it. Now we're going to try something different as someone who now has her master's in professional writing, and I technically am a writer. I'm a professional writer. I'm a poet. I thought it would make more sense for me to make content reading books and talking about books, but not just books, talking about like poetry and different things like that. So I thought that this would be a great way to essentially rebrand my channel, but still implement a little bit of other things that I have done in the past on this channel. I don't plan on deleting any of the videos from my channel. You can still go back and watch those videos. I just will be probably focusing more on book videos because what else do I have to do? So today it's just going to be a booktube newbie tag. I'm just going to answer some questions, and then I'm going to tell you about what my TBR is for the month of January, so that way you know what books I'll be reading. And then that's pretty much going to be it for this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first question is, why did I start this channel? This channel has always existed. This channel has gone through so many rebrands, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I started this channel out as a music channel. I was singing songs, and I was doing it the most bootleg way I could do it. I would literally take my mom's laptop and I would like set it on a stand or a table somewhere in the living room, or if I was in my bedroom, my old bedroom, and I would press play, and then I would like walk onto the camera to make it look more dramatic, and then I would sing. I wouldn't edit it, no nothing. I would probably do multiple takes, and I usually would film the videos when my family was gone. So it was during like winter breaks or just breaks in general, or when I knew that my dad was home, my mom was home, or my brother, I would film then. And I knew that I had like a certain time limit to film these videos. That's what I did, and it worked. It worked until it didn't. And I also have another channel that has videos on there that I can't ever take them off. So if I ever become famous at one point in my life, I can't take those videos off because I don't know the account password. It switched from music and then it went to making vlogs. And that did work for a little bit, but I was never really consistent with it. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that my laptop just didn't have the space to edit. I didn't feel comfortable editing, and I just didn't have the equipment like I wanted to actually film said videos. And then college probably would have been the best time to do it, but I just wouldn't have had the time to edit. It just kept changing. Then I tried to do fitness and that didn't work because I didn't have the equipment that I wanted, and I didn't have somebody to like kind of walk around and help me film, and it was harder to do it. I know you're like, excuses, excuses, excuses. I'm being so honest as to why I didn't do a lot of the things I wanted. That was why. So it was a mixture of all those three, and then I realized, stop fighting the thing that you love to do, which is reading and being in front of the camera. Combine both of those things and make your voice be heard. I read so many different things, and I feel like it would be great for me to just sit in front of the camera and talk about those things, honestly. So I started it because why not? And seeing that I know that publishing is something I want to do in the near future, I feel like this would be a great way to, I guess, advertise myself, but also still have a place within the book community as a whole. So the second question is, what are some fun and unique things you think you can bring to booktube? I fear that I have a very chronically online personality, but also a mixture of things. I feel like the uniqueness that I could bring to booktube is, one, I am a Black writer. So my experience of reading and writing things is very different. I also used to read Wattpad books. I was never an AO3 girl. I was always a Wattpad girl. I don't have it on my phone anymore, but there once was a time I did, and that's all I read. I even published a book on there. It still sits there. I will probably read it at some point on this channel, talk about it, and discuss things that I could do better and should have did better when I was writing said book. I feel like it'd be good to have a perspective of someone who has a bachelor's in creative writing but also a master's in creative writing, and I can talk about things, especially films, especially books that have been turned into films. I have a lot of books that sit over here that were once books and now are films, and I want to be able to talk about the differences between them, especially like Hunger Games and The Maze Runner. There are lots, those books I lived and breathed by, they're now films, and people only know them for the films, but they don't know them for the books, and I want to be able to talk about those things. So that's, I guess, would say is the fun part of it. The third question, what are you most excited for? Huh? What are you most excited about for this new channel? Being able to read books and actually maybe meet my reading goal and beat it, because because my reading goal last year was 25 books. I only read 10. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I was in school. The other half of it was just me being lazy and not just being attentive to reading. So I feel like doing this will make me more accountable, but also I can read more books that are out of my comfort zone. I read a lot of romance and stuff, so it'd be fun for me to read something else that's different. Question 4, why do you love reading? I've always loved reading. Reading has always been an escape for me. I'm not saying that my reality just sucks. It's just always been an escape. I've always loved reading. I've always loved meeting new characters and falling in love with them, but then being able to compare them to other characters and then come up with ideas of my own, because there are lots of novel ideas that I have when I read other books, but then I never act on it. But it's just the fact that that's there, and just being able to see what people can do. You never know what a writer is thinking, and when they publish their work, it's so cool to see where their mind can go and how brilliant someone's mind can truly be when writing something. And I think that is the coolest thing ever, and it's something that'll never go away. As much as people talk about AI won't exist if there's no writers. So writing is always going to be around no matter what format it is in, unfortunately. So number 5, what book series or book got you into reading? I'm going to say it was Harry Potter, but I'm not completely sure, because I didn't start avidly reading till about 4th grade, and I only started avidly reading was because we had like that AR reading stuff. And the teacher that I had at the time, her name was Miss Thornton, she did not play when it came to they are reading. And I remember I kept failing a bunch of them, and she was like, if you don't start reading, you are not going to pass my class. And it scared me. So I got kind of bullied into reading. And then I was also in competition with this other girl that was in my class, and that's all she did was read. So it was more of like I got bullied into it, but then I got jealous, and then I fell in love with it. But I'm gonna say it's Harry Potter. But that was because I read the series so many times that I couldn't stop reading it. But I don't own the books now. I haven't read them in forever, for obvious reasons. She's transphobic and I'm not. And she's also racist, and I'm obviously not. Unfortunately, it was Harry Potter. No, I, I could be lying. Magic Treehouse series was really good. I enjoyed reading a lot of those books, and I actually thought about buying them again and rereading them from an adult perspective. I think that would be fun. Number 6 is, what question would you ask your favorite booktubers? I don't have any at the moment. I'm actually still like trying to find people. There's only one person that I follow and I watch her videos avidly, is Rachel McAdams. That might be wrong, but she makes a lot of Hunger Games content, and I like reading her reading. What am I trying to say? I like watching her videos, because lots of times when you read stuff, you don't always catch everything. That's why I think it's important to reread books. But I like watching her content because she will address things that exist in the Hunger Games universe that I never thought about or forgot about. And it's fun to be able to think about it again, especially someone who's going to reread it in honor of Sunrise of the Reaping movie coming out later this year, which I've already read the book, but I'm excited to reread all of them. And I did it last year. I reread all of the Hunger Games books, but I'm going to read them again because why not? But I like her accounts. I think my biggest thing is how she's able to come up with new content, because even though Hunger Games has been out for years, I feel like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, what else could you possibly talk about? But it amazes me of how she's able to come out with content and post it. Number 7, what challenges do you think? What? This is a great example of how I need to start reading out loud, not in my head. What challenges do you think starting a book channel would be the hardest to overcome? Posting the first video and then not feeling like you have to succumb to all of the books that are currently trending. I feel like book talk is very much the high influence of what people read, and they won't read something if it's not trending because they want the views. But I want to be able to read books that, one, are by Black authors and Black LGBTQ authors, but then also just read things that I would have never picked up. Like, if the book just looks interesting, I want to be able to read it. And there's also some books that I've seen that are trending and I never picked them up before they became trending because they didn't interest me. But then now watching watching people talk about it, it makes you want to read them. And then also some of these books are turning into movies, and I'm a very big person of watching. I won't watch the movie if I haven't read the book. Hence why I got into The Maze Runner. The Maze Runner, I only read that book because Dylan O'Brien was in the movie. So I read the book, fell in love with the book series, and then watched the movies. So I think that's my biggest challenge. Number 8 is, when did you start reading? Realistically, I started reading when I started grade school, but reading for strictly pleasure and like enjoying it, I would say around 5th grade, 5th or 6th grade. Middle school, I really started reading a lot more, but it didn't start to pick up until high school. High school, I was reading at least 2 books a week, and that was including me being in marching band and in theater. I was reading nonstop. My reading didn't slow down until I got to college. That was because I was a music major at one point, and then I switched to creative writing. And when I was doing my stuff for creative writing, I was reading 30 books per semester. So it was like reading for pleasure, but then reading because it was for a grade. So I've been reading my entire life, but avidly started reading around fifth, sixth grade. Where do you read? Mostly in my room. I'm either in my room, or when I was in school, it would be in the car with my mom, but mostly in my room. My room is my safe place. I read in my bed. It's the best place for me to read. I get comfy. I turn the lights on, like this little light I got back here. I turn it on and then I get to work. I can't read out in public because I talk to myself when I'm reading. I make faces when I'm reading, and it's just not interesting. And I don't want people to see me read like that because I make faces, especially if I'm reading romance books. I make faces and I say things out loud. And if I try to do that in public, people will think I'm weird. So if you think you're gonna get videos of me reading out in Barnes and Noble, it's not happening. It's not gonna happen. I just don't do it. So question 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? I like to read romance and dystopian science fiction, but I mostly read romance. And I want to get away from that because in kind of grade school, middle school, I read a lot of mysteries and a lot of science fiction. And then I moved away from that, I guess, because I have more of a liking to watch romance movies. So then that to prompt me to read more romance. But I want to get back into reading thrillers. Well, I didn't really read a lot of thrillers. I mostly read mystery and sci-fi, but I would like to read thrillers. That's a new thing for me. But I see people talking about it and they like it. But I mostly want, my romance. But I'm up for anything. Long as the plot seems appealing, I'm going to read it. And then I read a lot of poetry as well. But that's because I'm a poet and I will be talking about that on this channel. You will get some books that'll be about some videos about poetry. Because I feel like we focus so heavily on novels and self-help books and nonfiction, and then we forget that poetry exists, it's a thing. And I might even have some videos where I talk about my process on how I write poetry and how that goes about, and what type of poetry I like to read and what type of poetry I don't like to read. So that's definitely something you'll see too, because in order for me to write poetry, I have to read it. And as someone who wants to eventually publish that, I have to essentially force myself to read it so I can write it. And then my last question is, what does my book collection look like? You can't really see it from here, but this whole thing is full of books. This is full of books, and there's books here, and then there's books down here at this little bottom one. So I have a good bit, but I just got a library card because I'm trying to get myself to stop buying a lot of books that I don't have the space to put them in. So until I get me an apartment, I will buy books, but until then, I will be trying to get them and using my public library, and so should you. So get your library card, go to the library, and rent the books out. Rent them, take them back. And if they don't have it, 9 times out of 10, they probably have an ILL, which is an interloan library, where you can request the book and then your library will go and try to borrow it from a neighboring one or a different one in a different state or city, and they will try, like, get the book specifically for you. You have it however long you have it, and then you return it, and then 9 times out of 10 they'll probably send it back. And then if it becomes a book that a lot of people start requesting, then it might be something they might add to the library itself. But use your resources, support your libraries, especially with the current administration we have now, that where they're trying to defund a lot of the public libraries. Please use them. That is my goal. You also get access to Libby as well, which allows for you to have audiobooks and books on your phone. I'm not a big person on reading on my phone or my iPad, but if I have to do that, then I will. I'm just not a big Kindle person. But go to your library. Now for the well-awaited TBR for January. It's not in a particular order, but it's just 3 books. We're gonna be realistic around here. I see a lot of people that are on booktube that have like these stack of books. It'll be like 7, and they'll be like, yeah, this is my TBR for the month. I have a job. I have a 9 to 5 job. This is something I'm doing on the side. I'm a freelance writer. I have to be realistic about the books that I want to read and what they look like. Yes, you want to challenge yourself, but at the same time, you want to be realistic, especially when I'm creating content for people to consume. I'm being realistic. I'm not trying to be relatable. I'm being realistic to me. The first book is called Several People Are Typing by Calvin Kausuke. That might be wrong. But I bought this book pre-Target boycott because there's a Target sticker on it. I bought this book a while back. I think at least 2 or 3 years ago. And it honestly, I liked it because of the fact that this looked really cool. And then in parts of the book, it doesn't look like actual words, it's like conversations. But I bought it because it's kind of like a sci-fi book in a way. And I want to challenge myself. So this is one of the books I'm going to read. And then this other book is By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, a meant to be novel. And I've also had this book for a hot minute as well. I've had this at least for 3 years. I tried reading it. I even have like a part in here where it's like I book tabbed it. I made a chapter for it and then I stopped reading. Part of it is because I thought it was an interracial book. It's not an interracial book by any means. And I know that doesn't matter, but it did matter because the way that the book was advertised, it seemed like it was a interracial book and it was not. And then the last book of this month, I'm rereading Fahrenheit 451, which is one of my favorite books by Ray Bradbury. This is the 60th anniversary. So the book itself is only like, the story itself is maybe 150 pages. But the book itself is like, it has like everything that goes into detail about how he made the story and everything. But these are the books that I'm going to be reading for the month of January. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to read these 3 lovely books. It's going to be fun being able to read them. And yeah, that's all I have. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment, and hit that bell notification button. God, for, you know, notifications for all of my posts. If you are a returning subscriber, I'm so sorry for the change. I'm not sorry. There's a change on this channel, and either you're gonna like it or you're not gonna like it. Unfortunately, I'm really hoping that this can go somewhere, and I'm really excited for where this new year is gonna take us. But as I always say, remember to choose happy and be happy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.